Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to SEK Racing. I hope you enjoyed the whole Haltech install and dyno video. I actually haven't started editing it as I'm recording this. I'm trying to stack up some content for y'all and not have 3 months between video uploads. But today, where'd it go? Hold on. Aha. We are going to do some quality of life improvements for the Focus here. Namely a steering wheel and a shift assembly riser. This doodad. It's going to sit under this black assembly here and essentially get the shift knob closer to the steering wheel so I'm not reaching as far from steering to the shift knob. So we'll get started here. I don't have super appropriate hardware just yet. I got some excessively long M6 bolts, some random M6 nuts I found, and I think these are M8 thin washers, which should do for now. But essentially, we're gonna get the hardware off, raise it up, stick the bolts on from underneath here. Do I want washers on those? No, we'll loose fit it for now. We'll stick the bolts through, put the assembly on, and then we'll use our M6 nuts and run it down on the studs, affixing it to the chassis. So let's get going. I think for this cable, this cable has to move in order for that nut to even come off. Oh, do I want to disconnect it from there first? Yeah. I've not tried doing this with a trim tool. Oh. Oh, that actually came right off. And now, twist those opposite of each other and boom. Got access to your net. Okay. These aluminum bits are actually solid bushings, because there used to be rubber filling the void there with some different hardware. They just essentially make the whole assembly really solid. Set that aside, I think. They'll do some washer stuff. Not gonna be the best fit, but you know, whatever. I might just keep them like that. I am that lazy. I might actually reposition the button array from on the dash up there to right here. Make sure that's fully seated before I run these down. I have no idea what torque spec these are supposed to be, but we'll get them German at least. Unfortunately, we have to use this guy for oh, I guess this is as good a time as any to let you guys know that, for those who don't know, I have become a father within, well, over a year ago at this point. So that's a thing. I'm trying to not let it affect what we're doing, but you know, dad duty calls above all else. That's essentially what we're looking at there. Make sure we don't have any schmutz. Yeah, I think the only hardware I might replace is just these washers, because they're not super effective in what they're doing. But up here, these shouldn't be that bad. Go for underneath. Actually, I do need washers under these. Now that I remember. So yeah, I'll get a pack of M6 washers from somewhere. For now, we're gonna loose fit and kind of see what it feels like. Which we can't do with the Sparco one just yet. I'll get into that later, but for now, let's just concentrate on getting this bolted down and tightened up a little bit. See that, right? Yeah. There we go. That's a bit better view. Yeah. Oh yeah. Woo. Shaking the whole car. There's a little bit of give just in like how it's bent and stuff, but don't really notice it. I approve. Of course, it's not like fully torqued down, so it needs washers and stuff. And I might switch out these bolts for some flange heads to be more appropriate in terms of carrying the load, but it's not like this is a huge weight holding assembly, so yeah, it's good. All right, let's talk about the wheel now, but before I do that, let me remind you to like and subscribe, leave a comment on something I'm doing wrong or that you don't like, or that my car's a shitbox. Anyways, moving on. Steering wheel. The stock one has this really nice face where the bolt lays against. Pretty good. The adapter from Sparco that fits this chassis is a Mustang adapter. Fits pretty good. Has the correct spline, has the correct size. It's all good. However, issue lies when you put the bolt in. There's not a lot of space around that bolt, because if you can see, it's just a depression in there. So when you put the bolt, preferably we don't drop the bolt first, but you know, whatever. Try to hold it there. When you put the bolt in there, you can't really get a socket around it, which kind of sucks. So what I need to do is find a thin wall 15/16 socket or a smaller head bolt, which I'm hesitant to do because this setup was designed for this size bolt. So I don't know. I'm gonna consult with some other people in the racing scene, and see if going from, what was that, 15/16 bolt to, I don't know, 7/8 would really affect it that much. So we'll see. All right, well, while we're on the topic of quality of life changes, well, as I'm sitting back in the seat here in my driving position, it's kind of hard to reach my buttons. I have to kind of strain against my straps. So what I'm thinking is, initially that circle looked like it matched that circle pretty well, and it actually does. However, annoying e-brake in the way for right now. So what I'm thinking is I'll get some aluminum and bend an L bracket for right here. Have it mount there, or maybe with a slight tilt. Ooh, actually, that looks quite nice. Yeah. See if I can get it to rest there. Yeah, so we're just like, boop, car start. lights, turn signals, all that stuff. It's right there, easy reach for driver and passenger in case the passenger needs to shut off the engine. Yeah, okay, that's what we're gonna do actually. I need to figure out, well, I have the bolt pattern and stuff already. Haltech always provides the bolt pattern and everything. So we're gonna do, probably just sandwich the end of the bracket between the shift assembly and the riser and have it come out and bend up. I wonder if I can make that on CAD and just send it to send cut send. That might make things a lot easier. Only issue would be missing that with the plug, so I might have to have a hole in the bracket down to route the actual plug wire down and through the hole and then back up to the dash there. Yeah, that might work perfectly. I mean, heck, I could put it vertically. Nah, we'll do it this way. This way is more aesthetically pleasing. Alright, well, that's sorted at least. Still gotta print up something for this, which I have the model that goes in this hole and will clip in. This is a matter of figuring out if it's strong enough to hold this, which is attached to a lot of things, in place well enough to not ever move, because this can never move. Worst case, I'll have to make some bracket or something to hard mount it better to the actual dash plastic. I will also be coming up with an idea on how to implement a wire turnoff for an external pull for the kill switch. Essentially so a track official can see a little red plug on the cowl or something and pull that to kill everything. Essentially what this does, without having to like reach in the car and stuff like that. So that's the idea, and that would be able to be locked out and stuff with like a pin or something like that. So if I'm in traffic, no one can just pull up and kill the car. So yeah, I'm gonna whip up a bracket for that, I think. Yeah, and I still gotta figure out the socket for that, but this is nice. So we're like halfway there of what I wanted to do today. So yeah. Alright, welcome back. Well, it wouldn't have really been a break for you guys. This is a couple days later, and we have a solution for our pretty thick boy bolt here with the washer. I think previously we had found this T50 wide head guy, but it didn't really have the correct surface area to match our other guy with the washer, so got a nice thick washer. And that should go on pretty easily. I'll have to look at the torque spec for it, but it should be fine. And also, for our shifter here, I got more hardware. More appropriate hardware, I should say. So that everything will have a washer and a flange and have the forces distributed how they should be, and not have oversized washers kind of being wishy-washy on the studs. So I'm going to take care of this, get the wheel back on, and then swap out our hardware for the actual shifter assembly, and that should be it. I think we're going to move on to either wrapping up the video depending on how much footage, or doing the fender liners. So we'll find out. All right, we got a package from Send Cut Send. I've known about these guys for a while, and this is the first opportunity I've had to actually use them. And some of you will know it involves our little keypad here. And there we go. Doesn't look like much. Let's get it out of the packaging. All right, we got the bracket, the keypad, and some temporary hardware. Let's make some things kiss here. There we go. Fitment's pretty good, almost like I designed it to be that way. There we go. Got it on there with most of the hardware. If you're curious what this little tab is, apparently my design needed a little bit more material for the machine to grab onto to do one of the bends. So that's just what this guy is. It'll be removed in a bit here. I might actually just bend it down for now so it's out of the way. But let's go test fit it. All right, I ended up just snipping the tab off, We got our area cleaned up and the hardware out. I am going to need 2 hands for this. Oh, and one modification I noticed I needed was just a little bit of rub protection for this wire right here as it came through, because the edge of the aluminum is a bit it's a bit sharp. But I'll get it in here. I have some washers to act as a bit of spacers because we're not exactly flush right here. So I'll probably stack 2 washers and then be able to bolt it directly there. So let's get it in here. Oh man, would you look at it?
Oh, look at him.
Would you just look at it? This is one of the all-time best feelings for me in terms of designing something. There's making the thing, measuring for the thing, physically making the thing, and then there's having the thing you make just fit absolutely perfectly to how you designed it. Let's just do a slow pan around. You got the cable that comes back, wraps around, down through the front relief hole, back up, and back up to the ECU bundle. Oh my gosh. And no, the shifter does not impact the cable as it wraps or as it turns to go to the main plug. So we're good there. The next thing that's going to be added in this area is a little control module to control whether or not the cabin lights and underglow are on together or not. Right now they're controlled by one button, but that one button is just going to send power to that control box, and then the control box is going to have toggles for on and off and a place to plug my phone in to charge it, all in one. So yeah, that sums up that little project. I could not be happier. All told, I think it was like 30 bucks shipped for the bracket, and just based the design off of Haltech's readily available like bolt and hole layout that is needed to mount these. So I have the perfect relief cut for the actual bulge in the back of the buttons and everything. I'm starting to ramble, so we're gonna cut it here. I'm just really happy how that turned out. All right, so as for other items aside from the shift tower area, we have our kill switch solidly mounted. The fascia is also solidly mounted back to the dash, so that's all set and good to go. What else? Cleaned up a lot of the engine bay. Let's actually pop the hood and show you some stuff in there really quick. Cleaned up the wiring a bit on my end. Still needs to be redone, but it's serviceable now, we'll say. In the midst of a valve cover gasket, hence like no hardware is in there currently, and everything's kind of awry. But found a leak on the valve cover, which was leaking down the entire other side of the engine over here, and decided to nip it in the butt. Also got some other parts over there, namely a 5-quart baffled oil pan that'll go on, because the oil pan is original and it's kind of warped, so it's constantly leaking. So that's another thing we're just gonna nip in the butt. So after that, nothing should be leaking anymore. And then over here on my whiteboard, some hardware stuff. You can see the little pigtail diagram I did. But we have our to-do list. The red marks were things that I initially wanted for sure before I went to the track. I recently updated them, so I'm not calling for all of them to be done, like the door cards and removing the dash and painting the dash bar. Not expressly necessary to go to the track. Everything else, though, pretty much yes. But as you can see, we have a lot of green check marks. So only thing really left is toe points and a roll bar. And that's pretty much it. So on the conundrum of the roll bar that I had delivered, that was in sorry shape. I think I showed you that before, but it basically lost a fight with the forklift on the way here, and it was a 4-point bolt-in from Auto Power, so decent brand, decent quality, but it came clobbered to shit. So it was a whole rigmarole, as in like 2 months worth of back and forth to finally get a refund for it and to get confirmation that the shipping company that damaged it isn't going to want it back for proof of the claim, since I documented it in extremely fine detail what exactly is wrong with it to them. So they don't want it. So I've disassembled it and moved it aside. I'm going to cut it up so I can stop hitting my toe on it. But I now have a 6-point bolt-in roll bar coming. That should be exactly what we need for motorsports for the foreseeable future. The end goal of Time Attack does allow for a minimum of a 6-point bolt-in, but we're not going to do just bare minimum. But a 6-point bolt-in with eventual door bars, once I do carbon doors, will be enough for HPDEs, low tier time trials and such like that. So we'll be fine. The harness bar will be going. Sadly, I never even got a chance to use it because the car's still been down. Not technically down. It runs and drives fine. It just needs some tweaking for the setup and stuff. And oh, that's another thing that's needed before it goes to the track. I need an idle air control valve because ITBs can't really meter their own air that well. With the current setup as it is, we have vacuum lines off the back of each of the runners of the ITBs, and those all come together into 2 mains that then come up to our vacuum manifold that's hiding back behind our strut bar here. And then that goes through the bulkhead here up to the ECU, to the ECU's map sensor, built-in map sensor. So that's all fine. And then we have a vac line coming down and over for the vacuum booster. And then the idle air control valve, which is just going to meter air into the system while at idle to, control the idle, hence idle air controller. It'll be mounted here, go into this port there, just so that under no load vacuum, it's going to be like happy to idle, and I don't have to sit there and fiddle with the little blade screw or feather the throttle until it's up to temperature. It'll just do its thing, hopefully. And as for the front and rear toe points that are on the list here too, I have an idea for it. I need to get some things to make sure that idea is going to work. But essentially we're going to have a toe point on each corner of the vehicle. And they're not going to be a traditional, or at least if the plan works out, it's not going to be a traditional like plate with a circle in it. It's going to be an actual steel cable that I can like tie down and tie away. But my plan is to have it come out the front, of course, but it's going to be a custom length from the company I'm ordering them from, and they're going to go through and tie back to the OEM tie down bracket points that have like M2, M12, or M14 studs holding them on. So plenty of bolt for what we're doing. But they're like 16 to 18 inches past the front point of the bumper. So my plan to not have my bumper rip off if we're not being pulled perfectly straight is to get some thick plate conduit mounts and have one on the frame rail and one on the crash bar to have the cable guided straight to come out more or less straight out of the bumper. And if it gets any angle of deviation from that, the bracket will pick up the slack there, instead of like gouging a huge line through my bumper with having a steel cable pulled sideways or something like that. So hopefully that made sense. I'm rambling because I'm getting into like my project zone here. But that's going to be something for a different video. I think we're going to leave it off here. Let's see. I don't think I have, no, there's no real events or anything coming up. So yeah, we're going to leave it off here and pick up the next one while I'm doing the toe points and hopefully the cage. I'm trying to be I'm trying to get better at like recording consistently and putting out more consistent content now that the car's here, and I can make this type of content instead of, the vertical stuff I've been known for recently with the TikTok and all that stuff. But yeah, trying to make a concerted effort in the YouTube. Anyways, I'm rambling. Here's a video of the car idling and the end screen.